Okay, so good evening, everyone. Yes, I hope everyone can see as well as hear me. Just confirm that. Okay, just confirm that. Yes. So everyone has understood the concept, I guess. Just an hour ago we had a discussion on the left wing extremism part one. So yes, yes, just confirm me if you can see as well as hear me. If there is no issue, just confirm that. I'm just checking out your comments actually. Yeah, hello Atira. Okay, all good. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Right, so we'll start. So in the last class, we already had we have started a discussion on the left wing extremism. So yes, so we have looked into this particular area. We have looked into what is their aim. We have looked into what are their objectives. Right. So these are the things we have already checked. So we will be going forward now. So if you remember, at that time I was talking about something called frontal organizations. Do you remember? In the part 1, while I'm talking about the left wing extremism, I've used a word called frontal organizations. Right? So what are these frontal organizations? Actually, what is the purpose of them? So we'll try to look into that particular case now. Okay, the frontal organizations will be specifically focusing on now. Yes. So now coming to the frontal organization. So why do they require something like that? So basically, it is known fact that these people are the Maoists, these people are the Naxalites. So it is really very tough for them to come into the people very frequently and be a part of them and all. So now what they use, so the Maoists will use such kind of frontal organizations. For example, any kind of organization we could say, for example, I've given you some things like Revolutionary Democratic Front, People's Democratic Front of India, Democratic Students Union. So we must have any such kind of things. Getting the point? We must have we may have any of these particular things. So any organization which is ideologically supporting the Maoists, supporting the Naxalites, we will be calling them. Yes, not able to see the slides. Anyone else is facing this problem? So in that case, there will be no choice of refreshing here, Sumant. So you can just close it and start once again. Okay, so for example, recently we have seen a lot of issues that are happening. Okay, right, we have seen a lot of things that are happening. For example, like we have a very prominent institution which is a prestigious institution called JNU, Jawaharlal Nehru University, which is in Delhi, is really very famous. There is no doubt about it, and it has the greater capability. Many prominent people have come from this kind of university, and they are present in various parts of the world now doing some great work. But now, this particular institution also has some kind of a students who have some clear ideologies. So there will be some kind of a students or student groups who will be supporting the right wing groups, and there are some student groups who might be using the left wings. So it's okay. Now having an ideology of rightist or leftist is something which is politically connected, but using your mentality of the left wing ideology, now you may be used as a pawn. Getting the point? You may be used as a kind of a pawn in this particular area of the Naxalism. We are not sure that we are being used, but you will be used. For example, you must have already seen some kind of aspects which have taken few years ago in the JNU. Right? Few years ago in the JNU. So we have seen there are some kind of a groups which have actually talked about some kind of a Kashmir issue. They have talked about some terror groups. They have talked about Afzal Guru and such kind of things. So now there is a high possibility that these kind of groups, the Naxalite groups and the Maoist groups, may use this particular students who are with the left wing institutions, or we could say left leaning ideologies. So now this kind of student groups can be used in their particular methodology. So this particular student group will automatically become one of the most important frontal organization. Got the point? This is one way of making this particular things. For example, what is the mandate of the security forces? What is the mandate of the security forces, armed forces? So the mandate is very clear. They have to protect the borders of the country, they have to guard the country, right? There's no doubt about it. So now, there were some instances, there's no doubt there were some instances of human right violations that definitely happened. That happened in the Jammu and Kashmir, that happened in the northeastern parts of a country too. There's no doubt about it. But now, making this kind of issues, taking this kind of issues into consideration, what happens now? They try to provoke these people in the name of human rights. Human right violation is happening by the security forces. So that may happen in 1 in 100 incidents. So sometimes this may happen. There's no doubt that I'm not saying that this won't happen. But there is a probability that these kind of things will happen at a very minimal stage. Isn't it? So now what happens automatically? Now this particular people, so taking this small incident that will happen, the human right violations, they take such kind of things into consideration and now they try to develop some kind of a sympathy here. Got the point? So they try to generate the sympathy of the people and in one way they are again leading us to against the government. Right? Civil society groups. So there are many civil society groups, there are human rights groups, there are media channels, there's no doubt about there are media channels which are actually supporter of the ideologies and there are student groups also. So in any of these particular case, so for every ideology, there is no doubt there are certain kind of a media group support would be definitely there, there's no doubt about it. So here, we are not supposed to talk about the media groups and actually say very clearly that they are supporting them, they are not supporting them. We cannot say it here, it's a public forum. So now it is left to your own understanding that how the media groups might be actually inclined to this ideology. Yes, they try to put, for example, if there is some news which is few days ago, they put it in one way, and if the same news happens which is against their opinion consideration, so what happens, they put the same news in a different context. Yes, it is possible. It is possible, there is no doubt about it. Getting the point, right? So that kind of media groups are there in the name of human rights, in the name of international media, in the name of human rights, all of these areas, they try to bring this particular thing. And now, this particular people are not present only in the media, but even in the judiciary too. Even in the judiciary, you find this kind of people. Now, what will they do? What will they do automatically? Okay, what will they do automatically now? So every system definitely has a loopholes, right? Judiciary itself has a loophole. One of the biggest loophole that we have is this: without any kind of, we could say, evidence, we cannot make any case to be succeeded, right? We have a greatest loophole. So now it is not that case. Like in the judiciary, you have different kind of logics, right? So what happens now? The people who are inclined to this leftist ideology, even in the judiciary, they try to make it very clear that these people shall not get any kind of legal conviction and punishment. So such kind of impact can also be done by the frontal organizations. Guys, if you are getting one thing, there is one major group, that is left-wing extremist group, the Maoists and Naxalites. They try to do whatever they want. But here they are being supported by organizations like anything. So they may be living in the forest, but there are many around us who have this ideology and who attracts the people to turn them towards this kind of a Naxalism. So this is a very important point you have to know. So the frontal organizations of the left-wing extremism groups are as dangerous as that of the other groups. Got the point? So that is a very important point you have to remember. You have to understand that. Clear? So that is about the frontal organizations. Then we have guerrilla warfare. I hope everyone is clear with the frontal organizations. Any doubts? Now you may be able to understand, or you may be able to tell me, like if someone asks you, discuss the role of, like a question could be like this, for example, in the mains, discuss the role of frontal organizations in the spread of extremism. Simple question, but very interesting question. So if you want, you can write an answer and post it on the group. However, right, the question will be this: discuss the role of frontal organizations in the spread of extremism. Simple question, but a very interesting question, guys. Yes, if anyone is interested in writing an answer, you can write an answer of 200 words on that. 200 words answer. If you want, you can actually write this. So discuss the role of frontal organizations in the spread of extremism. That's a simple question, but an interesting question too, I'm telling you. So you can write the question in 200 words. Right. So we'll move further with the next one. That is nothing but the guerrilla warfare. So now guerrilla warfare, it's a very important and the easiest thing that we often talk about. So there is no fixed methodology. There is no fixed method about how they are actually going to fight in the war. That's what the guerrilla warfare talks about. They actually use this particular guerrilla warfare tactics. So irregular, completely irregular. They will not have something like, this is a tactic we have to follow, this is a tactic we have to follow. Nothing like that. They try to do whatever they want. So they try to do the ambushes, they sabotage the things, they will raid, hit and do some kind of these things. So that sort of thing we generally call it as a guerrilla warfare. Then the propaganda, one of the greatest thing again, propaganda. Yes, propaganda machinery. See now what happens. Let's say I don't have an option here to add one more slide in between. But anyways, just give me 1 second. I'll see what I can do for that. Okay, see, coming to the propaganda machinery. So what I'll do here is this. First, there is a problem. So there's a grievance from the side of people. So now, for example, people say that we want certain kind of things to be done. So slowly what happens now, this kind of organization, these people who are supporting can enter into this problem and say that we will show the solution for this problem. This is what they offer. So for the solution to be there, now they say we need your support. Let's launch some hunger strike firstly. Let's launch some hunger strike. Then let's say that we'll do this particular thing. Then we'll actually we'll do something called road blockage. I'm just telling you some examples, okay? Road blockage. So something. And finally what happens is this. You know what? These kind of situations what are happening, these grievances can be a method how this kind of propaganda machinery can work. Getting the point? This kind of grievances what the people have. Now these things can be used by the Naxalites or the Maoists and the frontal organizations and promote the propaganda. Getting the point here? So this would be one method about how they can do it. For example, they are active in almost all the major cities. Even as I said, in the media also they have these people. NGOs are there, activists are there. So what they do? So now you often hear this, guys. You often hear this particular thing. Like, the first thing I'll tell you. Suddenly, for example, let's say if the police or the Central Armed Police Forces, just see this point, kill some Naxalites in the encounters. So what happens now? NGOs, yes, or we could say media. What they say? We say violation of human rights. Getting the point? They say this point for sure, isn't it? They say it's a violation of human rights. But now, if the same Naxalites blast a bus with the passengers, no one utters a word. If you can see the difference between both the points, if the police kill the Naxalites, they say it's a human rights violation, but if the same Naxalites kill the people, no one comes out and say a word. See, is that not a propaganda? Is that not a propaganda? So now if the government takes any step to put an end to this kind of Naxalite movement, I understand that, Shubham, I have seen it, I just got that, but however I am telling you, right, so not a problem I felt. Okay, from going forward I will not write there, okay? Yeah, I'll do it. Understood that. See, now this is the problem we have. So this particular people, I'm not saying that all those people who are saying human rights violation are Maoist or the propaganda, but I'm saying that majority of the people try to create a mess out of these things. And what they do is this particular thing, say that Maoists have done this, they have killed, they have killed innocent Maoists, but they don't talk about when the same Maoists kill the innocent people. They see the Maoists as the innocent innocent Maoists, but they don't see the people in that case. Isn't it? So this remains a major problem. Is this not a propaganda that is being taken up in many parts of a country? Right? So that is the thing. This is the propaganda machinery that is taking up here. Then we have something called tactical counter-offensive campaign. Then we have something called tactical counter-offensive campaign. So this is one which is being used by the Maoists a lot. You know what they do? It's a really interesting thing, what they do. Firstly, this Maoist actually use this particular method called tactical counter-offensive campaign. So as part of that, generally, it will be taken in this month from March to early monsoon in July. So anyone can anyone guess why only this particular months? Why only this months from March to July? There must be some reason, some logic behind it, right? Can anyone guess that? Any specific understanding, any specific reason should be there, right? So it would be great if someone can guess this thing. So basically, the monsoon season is really tough in the forest, isn't it? So at this time, the tactical counter-offensive campaign is something where they actually put a greater burden on the security forces, right? Where absolutely, that's right. It's not because of parliament sessions, okay? It's not because of parliament sessions. Yeah. So now what happens is that, so in this particular manner, they actually put some kind of burden on the security forces. It would be really burden. So what they do in other side, they actually go and do their recruitment and further enhance their strength. So this would be the important thing that we'll be doing, that they call it as tactical counter-offensive campaign. But these days, they are coming up with a new strategy. What is it? They are not just now, Naxalites are the people, they are not present only in the forest. Now the new strategy is that they are expanding into urban areas. So this is what we generally, some time ago, I said in the last class also about some word called urban Naxal, which has got, lot of, debate these days, right? So a lot of debate has happened. So now the fresh strategy is that, the similar thing. So the days are gone where people be in the forest and try to launch a fight against the government. But these are the days where they actually try to change the minds of the people and make it sure that they act against the government. Yes, such kind of things are happening. So now, let's see, as I have already stated that, so whatever the local movements are present, so these particular people comes into these areas, try to take up the leadership of these movements. Getting the point? Try to take up the leadership of these movements, and then that may lead to any kind of revolution thing. They try to take up the local struggles, whatever that is happening, they further lead to launching attacks would be there. And now, what happens here, while they are doing this kind of things, you know what they do here? A really interesting thing is this. For example, if this is an urban area, if this is some urban area, this is an urban area. So we have rural areas all over here. So forest, we could say. So what happens now? What happens is that, so police are present in all these areas, so which is actually adjoining the forest now. So what they do, they try to attack the security forces here in this particular area. So what happens now, we'll deploy more forces here. So by the time we deploy more forces here the people come and take the leadership of the local problems. Got the point here? So this is another method that is being used by the people. So now, the guerrilla zones which are already associated, which are closely inclined to that, they try to set up their organizational base over there. So this is a fresh strategy that is being taken up by the people again. Everyone getting the point here? So they have different kind of methods about how they spread this particular left-wing extremism. So now, what is their linkage with the other organizations and other countries? For example, the Communist Party of India, Maoist, they have very close ties with the Northeast insurgent groups, especially for sourcing of this arms and all. They have supported the solidarity with the Jammu and Kashmir terror groups also. Yes. So they have actually inclined to different other kind of groups, and they have this particular links with the Maoist organizations in Philippines and Turkey too. And now, there has been a committee called Coordination Committee of Maoist Parties and Organizations of South Asia, which includes 10 groups of Maoists from Bangladesh, India, Nepal and Sri Lanka. So this sort of groups have been there. So in one or other way, yes, that's right. Yes, via Myanmar, they actually do it. Do you remember yesterday also I'm talking about it when you're talking about the neighboring countries and its borders. So I was mentioning about this particular point about how they actually use the border we have with Myanmar as a kind of a route for making the drugs as well as for these weapons to enter into the country. Now, what is the source of funding now? What is the source of funding? The first one would be extortion. Extortion. For example, if the government says that we want to construct a highway going from this particular area. Now the next day, what happens? This Maoists come to the person, the contractor who is building that, and extort the money from them. If you want the work to be going on, give us the money. If not, we'll demolish this. And who will be in the losing end? The contractor. So what they do? By the fear that has been created by these particular people, so they actually pay them, and Maoists say nothing at all. So this kind of money, we call it as protection money. Guys, do remember this word is very important. They call this word as a protection money. So now this is the amount given by the certain kind of workers to actually for the Maoist. So that is one way. Yes. So next, moving further. So sometimes they also use this particular things called kidnapping and killings also. So by terrorizing the rich people. So we have this presence of we have this kind of presence of left-wing extremism in mineral-rich areas like coal, iron, bauxite. So wherever you are doing this extraction, you will also there. So for example, if you see Odisha and Jharkhand, which has a good presence of the Maoist here, they account for more than half of country's coal reserves, and they have taken lot of protection money. This Naxalites take lot of protection money in these states. So as per the ideology, they say Naxalites are fighting for the rights of the people, and they say that they want to establish a people government. But do you really think that their objective is the uplifting of the downtrodden sections? Can we say it that way? The objective of the Naxalites is this, that is upliftment of the downtrodden sections. How many of you agree with the statement? Yes, that is possible. That is possible. That's why, Sukriti, if you see, for example, if they kidnap an IAS officer, they won't do any harm to the IAS officer. But if they kidnap an IPS officer, they actually kill the IPS officers. Ever wondered? Yes, because IPS is something which is actually focusing on killing these people, but IAS is focusing on the administration. Basically, yes, if an IAS and IPS officers both are abducted by the Maoists, they kill the IPS officer mostly. There are 80% chances that they kill an IPS officer. There are 80% chances they actually kill an IPS officer, but not an IAS. But if they want to kill them, however, they will do it, but that's a different story again. But one point you have to all understand here is this. According to their ideology, they say we are fighting for the right of the people, but we know what are they doing. Yes, so this sort of things happen. Now, the objective is very clear. We have known this. What is the Maoist ideology? Come whatever, through the revolutionary means, they want to take up the power of this particular country. They have to take the power of this particular country, but not in the form of a democracy, but through the revolution, which cannot be attained and which will not get the support of the people at all. Do you really think that the power that is being taken in the name of revolution would be supported by the people? Absolutely not. So people are not satisfied with the democracy itself, by the way, in India. And how can you say that people will be satisfied with the government that will be formed through the revolution? Whom are you going to question in the revolution government? If that is a democracy, at least you are questioning some leaders. The government is answerable to the parliament. But if you say, I want to form a government in the name of a revolution, who are you answerable to? Yes, who are you answerable to? So it is highly impossible, and if they are really very much interested for the social uplifting of these people, why are they blasting the roads? Why are they blasting the bridges? Yes, why are they halting the development that is being taken up for the upliftment of the people? No, it is not that. They never want the poverty to be ended. As long as the poverty is present, till that long the Maoists can survive. So that's why they do not want this poverty to be ended. Because now if that is done, it is gone. The movement itself is gone. So they want the poverty to be alive, and this would actually enhance them to expand their territory too. Yes. So the local people have to be created awareness about this. And now what happens, even if you create an awareness among the local people, there are such instances. What happens now is this, that these locals will be forced to support them too. right? So this sort of things are happening. So that is about this particular concept of links with the other organizations and countries and how they are actually doing the things. Is it clear till now? True, Harshita, that's right. Now, so moving further, what are the factors that are responsible for the rise of Naxalism? So the factors that are responsible for Naxalism, the first one would be the developmental issues. So do you remember yesterday I was mentioning about the notification thing and all? Yes, definitely unemployment and poverty. Yes, when you are unemployed, when you do not have any source of economy, when you do not have any source of money, what would you do? You cannot stay quiet. Go join the movement and actually act against the government because they are not making you get the job properly. The government is not taking the initiatives to get you a job. So definitely you will be angry against the government. Poverty. India has 70 plus years of independence, and what have we achieved? Yes, it's really unfortunate to see such a huge number of people still being under the poverty line. There's no doubt about it. It's really it's really a great problem that we are still seeing the people who are under the poverty line. But what are we doing? What are we doing for these people? 70 plus years of independence, guys, and still the poverty remains in the country. Coming to the infrastructure, let's look into the northeastern states alone. The infrastructure in the northeastern states has remained the same till few years ago. No development has been there. And what is the reason? There is no doubt that people of northeastern states have sometimes have been very much critical against the government of India. I mean the central government. Yes, there's no doubt, and yes, they have a complete right to be critical of the government. There's no doubt about it, I feel. The reason is very clear. What have you done for the development of the Northeast? The infrastructure is still remained the same until few years ago. And when you have no infrastructure, when you have no connectivity to the tribal areas, when you have no connectivity to the forest areas, so what is that the people can expect? Nothing. There was such kind of incidents that we have seen in the country where, a husband has taken the dead body of his wife on the shoulder for kilometers, and this is what the development that we have done in last 70 years of independence. Yes, the husband has a complete right now to act against the government. Yes, don't you think so, guys? So when the development is not there, definitely what are you going to do? And proudly you say India is the largest democracy in the world, and still the underlying problems are still there. We have come across with different programs. But now when the infrastructure is not proper, when there is unemployment, when there is poverty, yes, hope everyone is able to connect to this particular things. So yes, the Naxalism, what is the core of the problem is this. When the governance is spoiled, when the governance is not up to the mark, the core of the problem comes from this Naxalism. Yes, Naxalism is a result of the improper things that has been done by the government. There's no doubt about it. Isn't it? It is because of this particular things only. Now, going forward, lack of education, no health facilities. No health facilities. We say we have primary healthcare centers. What is happening in the primary healthcare centers? Go and see for yourself. Has anyone ever visited a primary healthcare center? Primary healthcare center, has anyone ever visited them? You don't find much doctors there. Hardly you find 1 or 2 doctors, and sometimes no doctors too. So what they do, they just do a first aid, go refer them to a big hospital. And what is that case? In this case of, a tribal area which is located some far away, about 100 kilometers from a city, 200 kilometers from a city, these people will lose their lives. Right? These people will lose their lives. So these are the developmental issues. These things will definitely make the Naxalism to be increased. They need not require anything, guys. Personally, they do not require anything. The more you are not focusing on these issues, as long as these developmental issues are present in the country, as long as the development issues are present in the country, that is indirectly leading to the rise of Naxalism. that is indirectly leading to the rise of Naxalism. They do not have to do anything. They just have to remain calm because no government is going to do anything. Okay, getting the point? So developmental issues are those. Next comes the social exclusion. The human rights violations, especially in the tribals. In the tribals perspective, what happens? The forest officers comes there, harass them. Then the police comes there, harass them. Yes, all the people, they actually do this kind of things. Abuse of the dignity of life. They do not have a proper dignity of life. They are disconnected with the mainstream. Right? So when these things are done, the social exclusion which has been done in the name of a caste, in the name of a religion, so this needs to be addressed. Then issues of governance. No proper public personnel. See, in India, it's really unfortunate to tell this word, guys, but we have to talk about the ground reality. Let me be very honest. We may find good IAS officers. There's no doubt, isn't it? We may find good IAS officers, good IPS officers. But an IAS and IPS officer are not the people who are directly in contact with the people every day and doing the work on the ground. Am I right? So now, an IAS officer can be a greatly motivated person, but we also want his subordinate staff also to be the same with the motivation. Isn't it? If the only person thinks that I want to change my district, it will not change, by the way. If you want to change your district, go motivate your own subordinate staff. Then you can bring a change. So, the incompetent and poorly motivated public personnel is one reason. Corruption. India, I don't think we have to talk about corruption as a separate topic because it has been a part and parcel of our lives. Yes? Is there anyone in the class currently, right now, who is there in the class right now? Is there anyone who have never bribed an officer for anything? Is there anyone who have never bribed till now in one or other way? In one or other way, I'm telling you, even a single rupee. Is there anyone who can say proudly that I have never bribed an officer? Oh, Pavinder. Okay, that's good. Nazneen. Okay, very good. Very good. But the thing is, knowingly or unknowingly, even if you have not done, maybe your parents must have done it. There's no doubt. Maybe at least your parents must have done it, by the way, I'm telling you. The thing is, in one or other situation, I'm not saying that in all the cases, guys, in one or other situation, anytime in your life, anytime. For example, you go to a government hospital, I'm telling you. You go to a government hospital and you find a long queue of 100 people. So what you do? You go, give 100 rupees to a person who is looking after here. They directly bypass you directly from here. Isn't it? This is also a kind of a corruption, by the way. This is also a kind of a corruption. Like when the traffic police writes you 1,000 rupees fine, you give 100 rupees to the traffic constable, you will go out of it. So that's also a corruption. Like in a government office, you want certain kind of certificates to be issued by the officers, and what you do, you give them 200 rupees, sir, make my process easier and faster. So that's also a corruption. So now it has become a common thing, by the way, in India. Corruption has become a part and parcel of every person's life. And now the best example is this, guys. You should actually see this. Yeah, construction department, it's a part of it. I have bribed several times. Yeah, I understand that. It's not just you, by the way, majority of the people. Now the thing is, for example, there are senior citizens who are getting a pension of 1,000 rupees. You know what? When they go to some government office and ask that, we need a seniority certificate or something, they say, give me 2,000 rupees, I'll give you your certificate. They say, give me 2,000 rupees, I'll give you a certificate proving that you are a senior citizen. And now what happens? The senior citizen, what they will do? They will definitely do it. Because they may lose just 2 months of pension, but they get the pension every day now, every month day. Right? So they actually give it. There has been a corruption in the government schemes. There is no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. There's been a logic also for that, like how the government schemes are reaching to the people. Now, for example, Yes, that's right. So now, poor implementation of special laws. Yes, for example, you may create certain kind of a laws. For example, SC/ST Atrocities Act. So when you're not implementing that kind of laws, so what is the use of it? Right? You say SC/ST subplan, where you say that the amount that is present in this particular fund will be only used for the development of the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes only. So that's a problem again. Now, improper working of the local government. Improper working of the local government. It's other thing. Yes. So we have evasion of land ceiling laws. This much of land only has to be there, but you are not going to maintain. So that's a good example, Sukriti. That's a good example, by the way. Let me share you an example, guys. Right, Sukriti is the right point. Sukriti has made a right point, by the way. Like every one of you, those who have passports, that's a right statement. Yes. So right, every one of you, those who have passports, what happens is that like you apply for some kind of passport and everything is fine, documents are fine. So inquiry to definitely will be there, but the police constables will be coming and asking you, sir, show us your documents. You show them the documents. You know what? They ask you, give us 1,000 rupees. At least 1,000 rupees, by the way. A minimum of 1,000 rupees. So they expect, there's no doubt about it. And we know very well that everything is fine, but still you give it. And in case if they don't ask you, you actually, sir, why don't you take this? Actually, people are there who actually do this. And let me tell you an experience of me also. Like there was a friend of mine who actually didn't give the amount. Okay? Who actually didn't give the amount to the police constables who have come to the inquiry. You know what I've done? He shared this information with me, and I immediately called some office, especially the district superintendent of the police office. I've called the SP office and said that this thing has happened. This has happened. The police have come and inquiry has been done, but they say that documents are not proper. I've got an update. And you know what they asked me in return? They said, did they take the money from you? They asked me. They said that, did they take money from you? And you know what? I said, yes. And I didn't know that my friend didn't pay, but I said yes. And what happened here is this. Then you will get it for sure. So this is the reply that I've got from the office of superintendent of the police. That too from some staff. See, it is a common thing. And that was not recently, by the way. That was some 4 to 5 years ago. So now the system has been changed. That's a different story. But still there are people who actually give the money. Right? So now the non-regularization of the traditional land rights. So now we have also seen. She said on phone that I didn't offer her anything. I was on, call was on record. I asked her to repeat. Hint, when she came at home, I made live video phone in front of her. Okay, fine. See, this is the problem we have. We all know that everything is fine, but still we do the things, in one or other way. That's a thing. That's a right thing, right? That happens in a society. So now, if this is a common thing happens to a very poor person who actually, for example, let's say there's a person who actually got an offer to work in some university, or who actually got an offer to actually be in collaboration with the university in the United States of America, and he needs a passport. So he has a visa interview and all. So when they come here, when they ask the people to give the money, and these people do not have the money. So he has got a good opportunity that some professor has asked him to come and work with him. See, it's a good opportunity for him, because being from a tribal person, he was there in the forest and all. So now what happens? He didn't pay the amount. He don't get the passport on time. If he don't get the passport on time, he don't get the visa, and he's losing the opportunity. What will be the option before these people? Right? You're getting the point, right? So what is the option before this person who has lost this opportunity now? See, they will hate the government. There's no doubt they hate the government and wage a war against the government. This is the thing that is happening. The issues of governance. So you must have talked about recent issue about the tribals, the forest land and all. So this kind of issues of governance have been a very important problem. Right? So these are the things which can actually make the Naxalism to increase. There is nothing else is required. These are the factors which are actually increasing the Naxalism. I hope now everyone now have got some basic understanding about how the rise of Naxalism is happening. So we'll move towards the next one, the fight against Naxalism. Guys, very interesting models we'll be discussing. So please pay your attention here. So now we know very well that law and order of a state is something which is looked after by the state. Right? Law and order is a state subject. Now law and order is a state subject. So till 2007, 2006, there are states which have faced some red challenge. I have said you the states, right? Earlier, I've talked about Andhra, I've talked about Chhattisgarh, I've talked about Bihar, Odisha. So right, so this is the thing. So let's focus here, please. We can talk later about the other things. So now, the greatest state, by the way, I'm telling you, the state which has been very, very successful in dealing with the Naxalism is the state of Andhra Pradesh. The state of Andhra Pradesh has done a really great job by curbing the Naxalism, and how did they do it? We'll talk about it. Okay. So as I said you in the beginning yesterday, in today actually at 2 p.m. session, I was talking to you about this particular concept, which the Prime Minister himself has stated very clearly that this particular Naxalism is the biggest threat that we are having. Yes, I said you this thing. And immediately after this statement by the Prime Minister, within the Ministry of Home Affairs, a division called Naxal Management Division has been created. And they have set up an expert committee also. You are right, Sumant, you are right. So there has been expert committee has been set up by like this person called D. Bandopadhyay, who is a member of Planning Commission. So he was actually heading this particular committee. And what did they say? They've come across with the report also. What is the reason why the Naxalism has been on rise? Let's look into this. What did he say? What did the committee say basically? They say social, political, economic and cultural discrimination. The discrimination, indirectly you can say, the discrimination faced by the people belonging to the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes is a major reason for this. The discrimination faced by the people belonging to the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes is a major reason why the people are attracted towards the Naxalism. The local communities, whatever are there present, they are not being empowered. The lack of empowerment of the local communities is the other reason why the spread of Naxalism is happening. State bureaucracy has utterly failed. The bureaucracy has failed in the state in delivering the good governance in those areas which have been affected. So what they have recommended finally is this: a tribal friendly land acquisition and rehabilitation policy have to be made. So ultimately, tribals are the people who are getting affected a lot, and we need a tribal friendly land acquisition and a rehabilitation policy. Got the point? So this is the thing that they have talked. So this is the committee recommendation too. So when you talk about the schemes for the states affected by the left-wing extremism, we have different kind of schemes, guys. For example, we talk about security related expenditure. So they have actually, the central government has been sponsoring a lot of expenditure in the areas of insurance, training, operational needs of the security forces, rehabilitation of the left-wing extremism cadres who are actually surrendering. By the way, this is a good policy. I'm telling you, rehabilitation of these cadres who are surrendering to the government is a good policy that they have taken. And the government has brought a scheme called Special Infrastructure Scheme for fastening the development of the infrastructure in those states. Then they also have a central scheme for assistance to civilian victims or family of victims of terrorist, communal and Naxal violence, where they give 3 lakh rupees for those people who are the victims or the victims of the families. A plan called Integrated Action Plan has to be brought up. Like, many such kind of things have been there. Like, they also focused on fortifying the police stations too. A civic action program. And the other important scheme called Roshni scheme also has been brought up. So this is the one which actually provides a skill to the people who are actually coming from the Naxalites and coming back. And they'll be enhanced and they'll be supported here. So these are the various schemes that have been brought up. But still, there are some problems we are facing here that is related to the administrative problems. What is the administrative problems? Infrastructure is not proper. Infrastructure is not proper, definitely. See, if the security forces have to travel from one place to other place, if the infrastructure, if the road is not there, kahan se jata hai wo sab log? Yes. So there is no proper infrastructure. If they want to communicate that something has happened, the Maoist has hit a camp. So how to do that? They do not have proper communication facilities. And the other biggest problem we have is the interstate boundaries. Interstate boundaries remains a major problem when you are dealing with the left-wing extremism areas. Why is that so? For example, the method how Andhra Pradesh will treat the Naxalites would be very different from that of Odisha. Isn't it? So they have their own methods. So interstate boundaries has become a very easy task for the Naxalites to move from one state to other state. And now, a professionalism is not here. This is a problem. The police forces were not properly trained to deal with the Naxalisms. So that's why we will be talking about a model, as Sumant has pointed out rightly. There's a model called Greyhound model that has been taken up by the Andhra Pradesh. We'll talk about that also. So lack of professionalism remained a major problem. And there is no proper understanding between the center and the state. And the very interesting fact is this: the policy of surrendering. The policy of surrendering. For example, if there is an Naxalite, if he says that I want to surrender to the government, so each state has their own policies. There is no proper, a single policy is not there. For example, if the Naxalite gets surrendered in the state of Telangana, the policy will be very different according to their own state. If that is happening in Andhra, that would be different. If that is Odisha, that would be different. So why can't we bring up a unified policy? A unified policy is important. So what happens now, if you have a unified policy, now that would be making it much easier. And now, the state police are not properly equipped with respect to dealing with these things also. These are the administrative hurdles we have. But when you talk about Naxalism, guys, Naxalism is not a law and order issue. It's not just a law and order issue actually. It is related to underdevelopment. It is a societal issue. The people have been exploited. They were actually exploited. They were subjugated. They were made to work as a bonded labor. There's no proper agriculture. There's no employment opportunities. So they have taken a path. But guys, today if I ask you, let's go, wage a war against the government, will you do it easily? Will you do it easily? No, right? You won't come in my path if I want to say that today I'm forming a Naxalite group and let's go wage a war against the government. No, we won't do it. Because we are not the people who have suffered that. Isn't it? We are not the people who have suffered this kind of things. We have not seen the exploitation. We have not seen this kind of things. So we won't choose them. And even choosing a path of revolution, choosing a path of violence, even for those people it's not easy. It's not easy for them also. Like you and me, like it's not easy for them also. But now we have to address few questions if you can see. Why is this Naxalism is present in these states only? Why isn't that as much popular in the state of Gujarat and the state of Punjab? Why? What could be the reason? Why is it not present in these particular cities? Parvinder, I mean to say that here I'm saying specifically on one perspective, as you have asked me, Naxalists are the people who don't want this thing, as that the first point is right. And the second point I'm saying here is this makes the people to attract towards Naxalism. See, the leader and the followers may not have a same path. By the way, so leader is the person who wants to rule. Okay, and this particular leader, in order to rule, he uses followers. And why the followers are coming here? Why the followers are coming here? Because the followers are the people who are depressed. The followers are the people who have faced this particular problems. So they want to act against the government. So now they have found that option in their leader, and this leader want to rule. Now you got it? Pravinder? So just let me know if there is any doubt. So they are the people. Yes, you must have already understood now. So there is a linkage between both of this. Yeah, definitely the topmost brass is something which focus on other things. For example, let's see, just because of poverty depreciation, join the group as they are polarized. Absolutely. So they need some method. For example, if there is a person who is starting a political party, for example, let me talk about this particular thing. Let's say today I'm starting a political party. Okay, there's a party called A, I'm starting today. So now my objective is very simple. I want to become the chief minister or the prime minister. Okay, I want to become the chief minister or the prime minister. That's my single objective behind starting the party. Now I need a followers, right? So what I do? I try to create the things to the followers that this is the problem you are facing because of the government. Come join my party. We will change this. I say, come join my party. We will change this. And what happens now? Your followers will find you as an option to actually take an action against the government. So in this way, you are getting the follower base here. Got the point? So yes, you are right, Utkarsh. Followers need not have any knowledge, but they want the only thing that they see is this: they are going against the government. That is what they want. They don't want the government to remain here, or they want to take a revenge. Got it? Either they want to take a revenge or they want to just wind it up. This is the thing that they will be taking here. Right? So we cannot say that followers are the people who don't want development. No, we cannot say it. But rather they believe in their leader because this leader wants to change this thing. So that's what it happens. So the Maoist ideology is very much successful in Nepal but not in China. Can anyone say this? Why? What could be the reason? The Maoist ideology is successful in Nepal but not in China. It's very clear. The development. Yes, as Shubham has pointed rightly, the development. The development when you see in Nepal is not up to the mark when you compare that with China. The growth also, that's right. So what happens? That's why you often find the Maoist governments being formed in Nepal. That's why Maoists are linked to Nepal also in India. They get a support from Nepal sometimes. So when the neighbor is supporting the Maoist, definitely that's a problem for us, right? So that's one side of looking at the coin. But now, the question is this. If I say, now if I eliminate the leaders of the Naxalism, can we eliminate Naxalism completely? If I eliminate the leaders of the movement, if we eliminate the leaders of the movement, can we say Naxalism is gone? No, again that is a mistake. Right? Again that will be a mistake. So now, if you want to eliminate the Naxalism, you should not actually eliminate their leaders. But what you have to do, you're right. So what are we supposed to do? We have to remove the core of the problem. What is the reason? Why are they present? Why the people are there? There must be some reason, right? We can see that, like, what are the problems that people have faced this, why the followers have joined. Just remove that problem. So will the followers be created now? Once you eliminate not elimination of the followers, by the way, Sukriti, we have to eliminate the problems faced by the followers. Yes, what is the root cause of the problem? You have to understand the problem and you have to focus on that, and that would actually do the greatest thing. So we need a multi-pronged strategy. It is not only with that one case. So we have to look into dealing with other aspects also. So one such kind of strategy we talk is a development strategy. One type of thing that we talk is a development strategy. Just give me 1 minute, guys. Okay, seems like it's going to be beyond the time, I guess, today. So I'll try my best to cover. In case if that do not happen, we'll continue that also. Okay, don't worry about it. So coming to the development strategy, what do we need in the development strategy here? That is, a socio-economic development has to be there. So we have to focus on providing them infrastructure. So other important thing I would like to bring to your notice here is this. See, if the political parties can penetrate into the tribal areas, the spread of Maoism would be reduced. How many of you agree with this? If the political parties penetrate into the tribal areas, the spread of Maoism can be reduced. How? Because now the political parties will strengthen their cadre. So the cadre would be within the political parties, and when the cadre is within the political parties, no one would be getting an option to look into that. Right? We have to make it sure that the participative democracy is always there. Decentralization has to be there. Yes, decentralization would be there. So coordination has to be created between the departments. Police and other departments have to work together, and schemes have to be integrated. This will be a development strategy. And coming to the security perspective, yes, we know the problems that are faced by the security agencies. Lack of professionalism is something we are facing. So we have to provide for the professionalism. Capacity building, human resources building has to be there. Like, number of security forces have to be increased. Modernization of the police have to be done. Yes, communication systems have to be improved. Specially trained task force like, greyhounds in Andhra Pradesh have to be there. And a collective approach has to be made by the states. So this would be the security strategy perspective that we can do a great work here. And now, we also have to do this thing. the perception that we have in the public has to be changed. We have to engage with the public, ensure that, we have to restore the faith, we have to restore the confidence that we have in the government machinery. The financial support has to be stopped. Peace talks can be taken up whenever there is a possibility. Rather than killing them with the swords and guns, it's better to win their hearts and the minds. So in that way we can actually do it. So geography of those are also a trouble for security personnel. That's right. So that's why I said professionalism is required here. So time-bound conviction also have to be there, and an effective surrender and rehabilitation policy. So often what happens here is this. So when the Maoists come and say that we are going to surrender, so government have a policy about how they are going to rehabilitate. Government would help them financially. So in all such kind of things would be there. So that is about this particular story or security strategy and development strategy. So there was a success story also in Bihar. So in Bihar, what happened is a similar aspect is this. So there's a block called Sandesh. There's a block in Bihar called as Sandesh. Right? So they have a block in Bihar called Sandesh. So what happens is that this block has about 11 panchayats. And now in this 11 panchayats, there are 2 blocks from which actually, Naxalism in Bihar, when you say that that has been started in 2 blocks, and Sandesh block is one among those 2 blocks. Okay, Sandesh and Zahar, these are the 2 blocks in which Naxalism has been started in Bihar. So what happened is that, so the government was able to conduct elections in this particular blocks. And you know what happened? When the elections were conducted, so gradual elimination of the Naxal dominance has been removed. How? For example, in the year 2000, what happens is that there are 6 panchayats who actually have got Maoist Mukhias. Those people who have some Maoist ideologies, they have got 6 people. So what happens, guys? In 2000, they have got 6 people, right? So what happens now automatically, if they don't do any work, will the people vote for them? Will the people vote for them? If they don't do any work, no, right? The people will not vote for them. So what happens now? That would lead to unpopularity. So in the next election, they have contested. You know what happened? They were lost. In the next elections, they were lost. So automatically what happens now? An unpopularity has been brought up indirectly. Right? So now this particular sympathizers who are there with the Maoists, they have left their villages now. So those people who have got this kind of support, this Naxalite ideologies, they have switched to the farming, and they have completely association what they have completely cut their ties, and they are now free from Naxalism. This is the success story that we have from Bihar. Right? So then we have Greyhounds of Andhra Pradesh. So Greyhounds is a special force of the police which has been created by the Andhra Pradesh, the erstwhile Andhra Pradesh before the bifurcation of state of Telangana and Andhra. So where this is specifically for the Naxal fighting only. The purpose of it is only the Naxal fighting. It's a Naxal fighting force. So apart from the creation of a Naxal fighting force, what have they done? Here is this. They focused on infrastructure development and brought the best surrender and rehabilitation policy. And it has been very effective in such a way. The Greyhounds model was very effective in the state of Andhra, that the Naxalite leaders who were there in the state of Andhra Pradesh till now, they fled the state. They left the state and they went into hideouts in the states of Odisha, Chhattisgarh and Maharashtra. So this is what happened. It's a success story that we have, the AP Greyhounds model. So they have eliminated all the Maoists who were present and they fled away the state. That's a great thing they have done. Had the same policy has been adopted by the similar states, that would have been a different case. So what has helped them to do this? The first one is effective surrender and rehabilitation policy. A police leadership, infrastructure development has been done. Now what happened is this, they have used the local terrain. What is the local terrain? So they have got to know some basic information about the local geography and all. They have used that knowledge. And involvement of grassroots in anti-Naxal operations. They have used the local people about how they can actually tackle them. And now police were given incentives. Intelligence has been coordinated and operation based on local intelligence also has been done. So this is what has made the Andhra Pradesh Greyhounds model a successful thing. Got the point? So that is AP Greyhounds model. So lastly, we have this particular topic called Salva Judum. Salva Judum is a very important component that we have to discuss when you talk about Naxalism. So this is a movement which was started in the area of Bastar in Chhattisgarh. Bastar is very, very famous, isn't it? Is there anyone who have never heard about something called Bastar? So Bastar is a very very famous area. It's Bastar, okay? It's not Batar. It's Bastar. Bastar. So Bastar is an area. So what happened here is this. In this particular area of Bastar, many kind of atrocities have been committed by the Naxalites. So these particular people were very angry about the way the Naxalites have been doing. So what they have done is this. They have started something called Salva Judum. So Salva Judum, literally, what it means is that collective problem solving platform. Literal meaning is that. So now the people were not happy with the way the things are going on. So now the administration thinks very clearly that it's a voluntary movement started by the police against the Maoists. But now, obviously, Naxalites would not be happy, right? So Naxalites did not want the Salva Judum to succeed. Because if that is successful, they are losing. This is what an indication that we are giving. So Naxalites were not happy and they were not interested in seeing this particular Salva Judum to be successful. And the reason is very clear, because if they are successful, which means that they are also gone. And you know what? The other important reason also, the first reason is this. On one side, Grounds is actually putting a great effort on Andhra, from Andhra side. And if you look into the Bastar, it is the biggest ever base area of the Maoist. And if Bastar is gone, take it for granted, guys. Take it for granted that Maoist will lose one of the strongest base that they ever had in the country, the Bastar region. Even now you find them. Even now, when you go to the Bastar region, you'll find the Maoists present over there. So now, these people, they have already set up the people's government, that's a people's government, in Dandakaranya zone. So Dandakaranya zone is a corner of about 5 adjoining states of Chhattisgarh, Odisha, Andhra Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh and Maharashtra. And they have taken up some kind of counter strategies against the Salva Judum. And one of them is this. They have stated very clearly. They have branded the leaders of this particular, leaders of this movement as anti-people. And some leaders were executed by them. And then, what happened is that, so there was a propaganda movement has been started. Where they say that, these are the people who are getting supported by the police. So they have created it as if, these people are the proxy police movements and they are recruiting the children forcibly. So this is what they actually have given the indication. So in 2006, more than 100 villages involved in the movement were killed by the Naxalites. And in 2013, there's a senior Congress leader called Mahendra Karma. You must have heard this person. He's a very important, prominent person of this particular Salva Judum movement, and he was also killed. And now, here, after this thing has happened, no human rights activists have come here, no intellectual supporters have come here, and finally, Salva Judum was ended. Yes, finally, Salva Judum was ended. And you know what is it? Here, the propaganda machinery again. No one will come here. No one will come here. Yes? So this is the problem we have in the country. This is a problem we have in the country. This is the left-wing extremism. And one of the major issues that we are still facing and in the future will continue to face is this. That is intellectual support to the Naxalism. Intellectual support to the Naxalism is a thing. And final question I would like to ask you today before we end. Can we deploy the army against Naxals? Can we deploy the army against Naxals? This is the interesting question I would like to ask you. And if you say yes, okay. If you say no, why? If you say no, what is the reason why you are saying no? So this is the thing I would like to know. So please be fast. I think we already went beyond the time. Human rights activists often face such situations, being imprisoned and all. No. So if your answer is no, I would like to know the reason why. If like Odisha, yes. So basically the thing is, see guys, the purpose of army is that to prevent the external aggression. Yes, to prevent the external aggression. And when you talk about the Naxalites, are they the people who are from other countries? No, right? They are a part of India. They are Indians. And never ever we use our own army against our own citizens. Getting the point? We should never use. No country in the world uses this. No country will actually try to do. 99% they try to prevent this kind of situation of using their own armed force against their own people. Okay, because that's a great, situation. That's a worst situation that is happening. Got the point? So that is the thing for today. right? I hope everyone enjoyed the sessions of this. So tomorrow at 4 p.m., tomorrow at 2 p.m., right? Tomorrow at 2 p.m. we have other session, I guess. Tomorrow we'll be talking about militancy in Jammu and Kashmir. At 2 p.m. we'll be having a session tomorrow. Tomorrow at 2 p.m. we'll talk about militancy in Jammu and Kashmir. So Jammu and Kashmir militancy we'll be talking tomorrow. So yeah. Yes. In the YouTube itself, we'll have a session at 2 p.m. in Jammu and Kashmir militancy. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. I hope everyone enjoyed the session on left-wing extremism. Yeah. So do check out Unacademy Plus module, guys. Many top educators, as usually, as you all know. So you can use my referral code to Ajay Kumar, 0692. So that's all for today. Thank you so much. See you all again tomorrow at 2 p.m. So we'll be talking about the Jammu and Kashmir militancy. So do subscribe to the channel and share among your friends too. Thank you so much. See you all again tomorrow. Take care and have a great day. Bye-bye.